A royal shockwave has just rattled Buckingham Palace. In a move no one expected, Kate Middleton has officially stepped into a role once considered untouchable, while Queen Camilla quietly watched her own title fade into the background. This isn't just a ceremonial shift, it's a dramatic change in the very soul of the monarchy. So, what really happened behind closed doors? And why now? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind this royal power pivot. Let's start with the shocking power shift at the palace. A moment of silence echoed through the palace halls, but not because of tradition or ceremony. This silence came from shock. Kate Middleton, the once shy commoner from Berkshire, has now taken a step that changed everything. In a twist few saw coming, she rose to a position once reserved for legends. While Queen Camilla watched from the sidelines, her own title slipping quietly into the shadows, the Princess of Wales stepped forward into a spotlight she had never openly sought, but had long been prepared for. This was not a planned coronation or a formal royal announcement. It was a shift in energy, a subtle but undeniable moment that signaled who the future of the monarchy truly rests upon. The title change may seem symbolic on the surface, but to those who understand the weight of royal history, it was seismic. Behind the scenes, whispers of a long-planned transition began surfacing. Insiders spoke of Queen Elizabeth II's quiet mentorship, her private conversations with Catherine, and the subtle elevation of Kate's role over time. While King Charles took the throne and Camilla assumed the ceremonial role of queen consort, the public's gaze slowly began drifting towards someone else entirely. The people weren't looking at the throne, they were looking at the future. And in this new era, Kate's presence has become impossible to ignore. Her influence isn't loud or brash, it's quiet, composed, and deeply felt. She doesn't demand attention, she earns it. Her rise wasn't marked by ambition, but by consistency, compassion, and a steady ability to connect with the public. As Camilla's crown glistened under the lights of royal duty, Kate's presence outshone it in warmth and meaning. For many, this moment marked a silent shift, where tradition met transformation, and one woman's steady grace became more powerful than titles alone. But how did this moment come to pass? The answer lies in years of quiet preparation. Kate Middleton's transformation didn't happen overnight. From the moment she entered the royal spotlight, she navigated a world filled with pressure, protocol, and intense public scrutiny. Born in Berkshire in 1982, Kate grew up far from the corridors of power. Her upbringing was rooted in middle-class values, hard work, and humility. But when she met Prince William at the University of St. Andrews in the early 2000s, her life began to take a different path. Unlike many royal romances, theirs was slow burning, built on trust and quiet understanding. When they married in April of 2011, the public saw a fairy tale, but behind the elegant ceremonies and public adoration was a woman quietly preparing herself for a role no one truly trains for. She didn't immediately take center stage. Instead, she chose to listen, learn, and move carefully through the royal landscape. While tabloids tried to provoke scandal or expose weakness, Kate remained composed. She was always present, but never overpowering. Over the years, her public duties increased. From charity visits to high-profile speeches, Kate took each step with calm confidence. Her work on early childhood development, mental health, and family advocacy showed she wasn't interested in superficial appearances. She was there to create meaningful change. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, her influence grew. Palace insiders noted how her voice carried weight in family decisions, how Queen Elizabeth herself often sought Kate's company and input. Slowly, she became not just a wife to the future king, but a leader in her own right. Her journey was not about grabbing power, but about becoming worthy of it. And now, as the crown begins to cast a longer shadow toward the next generation, Kate stands not behind, but beside it, ready to lead. The decade of quiet preparation is over. The moment has arrived. The ghosts of Princess Diana and the untouchable title. For years, one title remained sacred within the British monarchy: Princess of Wales. The last woman to hold it, Princess Diana, left a legacy so powerful that no one dared step into her shadow. When Diana tragically passed in 1997, the emotional wounds were deep and raw. Public sentiment transformed her into an almost mythical figure, one of elegance, vulnerability, and unmatched grace. And because of that, the title became almost untouchable. When Prince Charles remarried in 2005, Camilla Parker Bowles made a pivotal decision. Though she technically had the right to be called the Princess of Wales, she chose not to. Instead, she adopted the title Duchess of Cornwall, a quieter, less emotionally charged role. This wasn't just a gesture of humility. It was a strategic move to avoid inflaming the public's loyalty to Diana. The memory of Diana was too strong, and the scrutiny too sharp. Camilla, still grappling with public perception, stayed in the background. For over a decade, the title lay dormant, wrapped in memory and emotion. No one, royal or otherwise, dared touch it. Until Kate. When Catherine took on the title of Princess of Wales after Queen Elizabeth's passing in 2022, it wasn't just a name. It was a symbolic revival of an identity once thought irreplaceable. But this time, the title didn't echo with the same drama. It felt like a natural continuation. Kate didn't attempt to replicate Diana. Instead, she honored her legacy while stepping into the role with her own quiet grace. Her calm demeanor, thoughtful presence, and authentic connection with the public made her the only royal capable of carrying the title forward without controversy. It was not a replacement, it was a rebirth. Now, the Princess of Wales title once again holds relevance, but it's Kate who redefined what it means, not by being the next Diana, but by being the first Catherine. Her ability to balance the emotional weight of history with a modern approach to royalty marked a turning point in the monarchy's evolution. Camilla's quiet struggle and public resistance. Camilla's path through the royal family has always been one of cautious navigation. When she married Prince Charles in 2005, it was under the weight of controversy and public skepticism. Memories of Diana were still vivid, and Camilla's long-standing relationship with Charles was viewed through a lens of betrayal and heartbreak. The British public was slow to warm up to her, and even slower to accept her as a rightful part of the royal narrative. Rather than fight for acceptance through grandeur or visibility, Camilla chose a more restrained route. She focused on service, supporting charities centered on literacy, domestic violence survivors, and community health. She became the president of the Women of the World Festival and committed herself to causes that reflected care and empathy. Slowly but surely, public perception began to shift. She was no longer seen solely through the lens of scandal, but as a woman of substance. Yet despite these efforts, Camilla always seemed to live under the shadow of others. She didn't claim the title of Princess of Wales, knowing full well the emotional storm it would create. And even when she eventually became Queen Consort, the air around her title felt careful, almost hesitant. The palace itself walked a tightrope. When Charles and Camilla wed, the official narrative was that she would one day be known as Princess Consort, not Queen. It was a reflection of the deep sensitivity around her role. Only later, during Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee in 2022, did the Queen endorse Camilla as future Queen Consort, giving her the final approval she had long awaited. Even so, Camilla's influence never matched her position. She remained a supportive figure to Charles, but never quite captured the hearts of the public in the way Kate or Diana had. Her legacy, while not insignificant, is one of endurance rather than transformation. And as the tides shift toward a younger, more relatable monarchy, Camilla's once uphill battle for acceptance finds itself overtaken by a new force of royal admiration: Kate Middleton. Sections 5 through 10 continue below due to character limits. Continuing with the remaining sections of your script, each between 320-360 words and written with strong pacing and emotional depth, Kate steps in, the return of the Princess of Wales. When Queen Elizabeth passed away in September of 2022, a ripple of change surged through the royal family. With King Charles ascending the throne, one of the most anticipated questions was what title Kate Middleton would now hold. Many assumed she would continue as Duchess of Cambridge, but instead, she was formally named the Princess of Wales, a title untouched since Princess Diana's tragic death in 1997. The announcement carried far more than ceremonial weight. It was a cultural moment. Kate had quietly spent over a decade proving herself, earning not just the public's trust, but their admiration. The fact that she could take on such a loaded title without public backlash spoke volumes. It was not just acceptance, it was approval. The public didn't resist. They embraced her. And that said more than any official statement ever could. Her first appearances as Princess of Wales were marked by the same calm composure that had defined her royal journey. There were no sweeping changes or dramatic gestures. Instead, Kate continued her work in education, child welfare, and mental health with renewed focus. Her style remained elegant but understated. Her speeches remained thoughtful, never grandstanding, and the public noticed. She brought something that had been missing from the role for decades. A grounded presence. Diana had brought compassion and charisma. Kate brought clarity and continuity. She didn't chase Diana's legacy, nor did she distance herself from it. She acknowledged it with grace, then quietly added her own chapter. This return of the Princess of Wales title wasn't about replacing a memory, it was about restoring its relevance. And under Kate's stewardship, the title became modern again. It became hers, not because she demanded it, but because she embodied it. For the first time in decades, the role had found someone who fit it naturally, and that changed everything. Behind palace walls, Queen Elizabeth's hidden plan. While the public watched Kate Middleton's rise with admiration, few realized just how long her ascent had been quietly orchestrated. Behind the scenes, Queen Elizabeth II had been shaping a legacy that extended far beyond her own reign. For years, she had seen something unique in Catherine. Not just grace under pressure, but the rare ability to balance tradition with modern sensibility. Their relationship wasn't built on formalities alone. Over countless quiet conversations at Kensington Palace, during shared engagements and private family events, the Queen had been mentoring Kate. She saw in her someone who could navigate the evolving expectations of monarchy in the 21st century. A future queen who could modernize the crown without diminishing its legacy. When Queen Elizabeth awarded Catherine the Dame Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order in 2019, it was more than a ceremonial honor. It was a signal to the inner royal circle. Catherine was being positioned as a key figure in the monarchy's future. Insiders would later say that the Queen had privately expressed greater confidence in Kate's leadership potential than anyone had previously known. This wasn't just personal preference, it was strategic foresight. Queen Elizabeth understood the challenges that lay ahead. A changing world, an evolving media landscape, a public increasingly skeptical of institutions. She knew the monarchy would need more than just tradition to survive. It would need trust, authenticity, and someone who could connect with the people in ways that titles and ceremonies no longer could. Kate, with her calm voice and genuine empathy, had all the makings of that person. And while Camilla had fought long and hard to establish her role beside Charles, the Queen's long-term focus was clear. Catherine was not being groomed merely as a consort. She was being quietly shaped as the future face of the crown. And in many ways, that preparation would later be the foundation of a generational shift in royal power. Section 7 to follow in the next message. Continuing with sections 7 to 10 of your high retention script. Each is within the target word range and maintains narrative depth and flow. Hence revelation. In Camilla's internal conflict. While Queen Elizabeth's influence shaped Kate's future, it was Princess Anne who unknowingly lifted the curtain on the late Queen's long-held plans. In the months following the Queen's passing in 2022, Anne spoke fondly about her mother's dedication, not just to the monarchy, but to the individuals within it. She hinted that Her Majesty had been preparing certain people for roles far beyond what the public imagined. The implications were subtle but powerful. For those paying attention, it was clear the Queen had always intended for Catherine to play a central role in the monarchy's evolution. This quiet revelation stirred unease within royal circles. No one felt its weight more than Camilla. After years of hard work, discretion, and careful positioning, she had finally reached the role of queen consort, but now the spotlight was shifting. Not to her, but to Kate. For Camilla, this wasn't just about public perception. It was personal. She had endured years of being cast as the outsider, the interloper. She had kept her distance from Diana's legacy, chosen softer titles, and taken the quieter road to acceptance. But with whispers of Queen Elizabeth's preference for Catherine, it must have felt like the rug had been pulled from beneath her, that after all she had sacrificed, she was still not the monarchy's chosen figure for the future. It wasn't rivalry that defined their relationship, it was contrast. Where Camilla had entered with baggage, Kate arrived with a clean slate. Where Camilla needed time to be tolerated, Kate needed only presence to be embraced. The Queen had supported both women in different ways, but her long game was clear. Catherine was the monarchy's long-term bet. Camilla may wear the crown beside the king, but it is Catherine the world watches with interest and hope. That subtle imbalance has become more visible with time. And for someone who spent years trying to escape comparison, Camilla now finds herself living in the shadow of a future queen already in motion. Kate vs. Camilla, two paths, one crown. Kate Middleton and Queen Camilla stand as two powerful women within the same royal institution. But their paths, reputations, and relationships with the public could not be more different. Camilla, once vilified by the press and held responsible for the unraveling of Charles and Diana's marriage, spent decades slowly reshaping her image. Her journey was one of rehabilitation, of managing scandal, of stepping carefully through a minefield of public opinion. Kate, by contrast, entered with a blank canvas. Though she was often scrutinized by tabloids early on, there was no scandal tied to her name, no historical resentment. Instead, the public watched her grow in real time, from university sweetheart to duchess, and finally to the poised and confident Princess of Wales. Camilla's identity was always closely tethered to Charles. Her influence came through her proximity to him. But Kate's public appeal grew independently. Her charitable work, her dignified presence, and her unwavering calm gave her a separate identity. Even without William, Kate would still be seen as a central figure in the royal narrative. This difference in independence became particularly evident in how the two women handled public events. Camilla remained traditional, often formal and reserved. Kate, on the other hand, engaged actively with children, families, and causes that resonated with everyday citizens. She didn't just perform her duties, she embodied them. Public perception has followed suit. Camilla is respected, but Kate is adored. Camilla has been accepted, but Kate is admired. And in a monarchy where image and emotional connection are everything, that distinction matters. While Camilla may hold the title of Queen Consort, it is Catherine who represents the soul of the new monarchy. Their stories are not in conflict, but they are in contrast. One built her path through endurance, the other through quiet evolution. And in the eyes of the people, the future belongs to Kate. The royal family's strategic transformation. The British monarchy has always been a balancing act. Tradition and modernity, duty and relatability. But never has this balance been more vital than now. In the 21st century, the old ways are no longer enough to sustain public trust. The royal family knows this. And at the center of its transformation is Kate Middleton. Catherine represents more than a title or a lineage. She is the face of a new royal strategy, one that embraces emotional intelligence, authenticity, and a connection to real people. Unlike previous generations who maintained distance as a form of power, Kate has embraced closeness. She listens, she asks questions, she learns, and in doing so, she's redefined what royal leadership can look like. Initiatives like her work on early childhood development, mental health awareness, and family stability are not just ceremonial acts. They reflect a deeper understanding of society's shifting needs. Kate chooses her causes with purpose, diving into issues that matter to young families, working parents, and children across the country. These efforts are not just headlines, they're legacies in the making. Her ability to remain calm during crises, from royal family controversies to global challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, revealed a strength that wasn't loud but lasting. She didn't dominate conversations, she directed them quietly. She didn't react to rumors, she rose above them. This strategy is no accident. It is the royal family's evolution in motion. The monarchy is increasingly leaning on Kate to be the bridge between generations, between palace walls and city streets, between centuries of formality and a new era of transparency. While King Charles represents continuity and Camilla represents resilience, Kate symbolizes change, not a break from the past, but a better version of it, a monarchy that learns, adapts, and stays relevant, not by changing its core, but by changing how that core connects with the world. The legacy continues. What comes next? Now that Kate Middleton holds the title of Princess of Wales, all eyes are on what comes next. Her journey from a young woman navigating palace expectations to a modern royal powerhouse has been nothing short of remarkable. But the real test is only beginning. With the monarchy under constant scrutiny and younger generations questioning its relevance, the burden of proof now rests on Kate's shoulders. Yet if history has shown us anything, it's that Catherine doesn't falter under pressure. She flourishes. Her ability to merge tradition with emotional intelligence gives her a distinct advantage in this age of constant change. She's not just the face of a ceremonial title. She's an architect of the crown's future. The causes she champions, the way she raises her children, and the manner in which she conducts herself all point to a new kind of royalty, one grounded in action, not just appearance. Camilla continues to serve, and her dignity deserves recognition. But the reality is that the narrative is shifting. The monarchy is being quietly rebranded, not by press releases or flashy events, but by the way Kate interacts with the world. She doesn't just fulfill expectations, she redefines them. What makes this all the more compelling is that her rise wasn't built on ambition. It was built on consistency, empathy, and a quiet kind of strength that speaks louder than any grand gesture ever could. She stands now not only as a wife to the heir, but as a queen in waiting, already fulfilling the duties without the title. As the late Queen Elizabeth foresaw, Catherine is not just part of the family, she is part of its survival strategy. The monarchy is evolving, and with Kate Middleton leading that change, it may find new life in a new age. The crown may rest on another's head for now, but the future undoubtedly belongs to her.